Our today's presentation will be handled by Mr. Paul on the topic, rape. What is rape? Rape has been a major factor affecting many of our youths in the society. However, today's presentation will address most of the factors and how we can contend, prevent, and more so, practical ways to help others to avoid being a victim and culprit. Mr. Paul, you have our attention. Rape is a type of sexual assault involving sexual intercourse, or other forms of sexual penetration, carried out against an individual of opposite gender. The act may be carried out by physical force, coercion, abuse of authority, or against a person who is incapable of giving valid consent, such as one who is unconscious, incapacitated, has an intellectual disability, or is below the legal age of consent. The term rape is sometimes casually and inaccurately used interchangeably with the term sexual assault. Rape is a heinous act of sexual violence involving coercion or force without the victim's approval. What are the causes or facts that trigger rape? 1. Cultural and social norms. Societal acceptance of gender equality. Victim-blaming culture. Survivors are often blamed for their actions, attire, or presence in certain places. As a matter of fact, individuals must be careful on their choice of association, location in a particular time and period. Toxic masculinity and entitlement. Aggression as a male norm. Men should avoid toxic masculinity and stop promoting the idea that men should be aggressive, emotionally detached, and dominant, which can translate into abusive behaviors, including rape. Sense of entitlement. Married couples should realize that denying a partner sex can have complex emotional and relational implications such as emotional distress. Denial can lead to feelings of rejection, low self-esteem, and resentment. 2. Relationship strain. Withholding intimacy can create distance, tension, and conflict. 3. Physical frustration. Unmet sexual needs can cause physical discomfort and stress. 4. Infidelity risk. Denial may increase the likelihood of seeking intimacy outside the relationship. At worst, this can lead to rape. Desire for domination. Rape is often less about sexual gratification and more about exerting power and control over the victim. It is a way for perpetrators to assert dominance and degrade their targets. Insecurity and resentment. Perpetrators may project their insecurities, frustrations, or feelings of inadequacy onto their victims through acts of violence. Improper dressing. 1. Cultural and societal perceptions. In many cultures, a woman's attire is scrutinized and linked to her moral character or intentions. Women, however, especially youth, shall take extremely careful not to be blamed or cause for such a nightmare. Society may shift responsibility from the perpetrator to the victim based on what she was wearing, implying that her choice of clothing provoked the attack. Cultural appropriation. Wearing cultural or traditional attire without understanding or respect can perpetuate cultural insensitivity. 2. Stereotyping. Improper dressing can reinforce negative stereotypes or cultural biases. Control of women. Using clothing as a justification for rape reinforces patriarchal ideas that women must conform to restrictive dress codes to protect themselves. Addressing the causes of rape requires a multifaceted approach, including cultural shifts, education, and interventions targeting psychological health. By dismantling harmful norms and providing support systems, society can work toward preventing sexual violence. What are the potential effects of rape? Rape can have severe and long-lasting psychological effects on the victim. These effects can vary depending on the individual, the nature of the assault, and the support they receive after the assault. Here are some common psychological effects of rape on the victim. 1. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Rape can trigger the development of PTSD, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and avoidance of triggers that remind them of the assault. 2. Anxiety and fear. Victims of rape may experience intense anxiety, fear, and hypervigilance, making it difficult to feel safe or relaxed. 3. Depression. Rape can lead to feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and depression, which can impact daily life and relationships. 4. Shame and guilt. Victims may feel ashamed or guilty about the assault, even though it is not their fault. 5. Dissociation. Some victims may experience dissociation, feeling disconnected from their body or surroundings. 6. Sleep disturbances. Rape can disrupt sleep patterns, leading to insomnia, nightmares, or difficulty falling or staying asleep. 7. Avoidance behavior. Victims may avoid people, places, or activities that remind them of the assault. 8. Hypervigilance. Victims may be constantly on the lookout for potential threats, making it difficult to relax or feel safe. 9. Difficulty with intimacy. Rape can make it challenging for victims to form intimate relationships or engage in sexual activities. 10. Suicidal thoughts. In severe cases, victims of rape may experience suicidal thoughts or feelings of hopelessness. Effects on the perpetrator. Effects on the perpetrator. Raper, legal consequences, imprisonment, fines, and a permanent criminal record. Social consequences, stigma, loss of relationships, and societal rejection. Psychological impact, feelings of guilt, shame, or further deviance. Economic impact, loss of employment and educational opportunities. Consequences of rape in the society. Consequences for society. Erosion of trust, fear and mistrust among community members. Economic burden, costs of medical care, legal proceedings, and rehabilitation. Perpetuation of gender inequality, reinforces power imbalances and hinders societal progress. Moral lessons: respect for consent, emphasizing mutual respect in relationships. Empathy and humanity, treating every individual with dignity and understanding. Responsibility and accountability, upholding ethical behavior and intervening when necessary. Some practical ways to prevent rape. Education and awareness, comprehensive sex education addressing consent and respect. Self-defense training, empowering individuals to protect themselves. Avoiding risky situations, being cautious about environments and people. Strengthening legal systems, swift and severe punishments for offenders. Technology use, personal safety apps and alert systems. Proper dressing is another biggest factor one should not neglect. Society's responsibility to contain rape. Containing rape requires a collective effort from society as a whole. Here are some ways society can take responsibility to prevent and respond to rape. Prevention. 1. Promote healthy attitudes towards sex and relationships. Encourage open and honest communication about consent, boundaries, and healthy relationships. 2. Challenge rape culture. Speak out against language, behaviors, and attitudes that perpetuate rape culture, such as victim blaming or trivializing sexual violence. Point 3. Support comprehensive sex education. Ensure that schools provide age-appropriate, inclusive, and comprehensive sex education that covers consent, boundaries, and healthy relationships. 4. Encourage bystander intervention. Teach people how to safely and effectively intervene when they witness suspicious or problematic behavior. Response 1. Believe and support survivors. Create a safe and supportive environment for survivors to share their experiences and seek help. 2. Ensure access to resources and services. Provide accessible and affordable resources, such as counseling, medical care, and legal assistance, for survivors. 3. Hold perpetrators accountable. Ensure that perpetrators are held accountable for their actions through the justice system. 4. Foster a culture of accountability. Encourage institutions, such as schools, workplaces, and communities, to take responsibility for preventing and responding to sexual violence. Community engagement. 1. Organize community events and campaigns. Host events, such as walks, runs, or fundraisers, to raise awareness and funds to support survivors and prevention efforts. 2. Partner with local organizations. Collaborate with local organizations, such as rape crisis centers, women's shelters, and community groups, to support their work and amplify their messages. 3. Engage men and boys in prevention efforts. Encourage men and boys to take an active role in preventing sexual violence and promoting healthy attitudes towards sex and relationships. 4. Support policy changes and legislation. Advocate for policies and laws that support survivors, prevent sexual violence, and hold perpetrators accountable. Education and awareness. 1. Provide education and training, community vigilance, encouraging, reporting and collective action, support for victims, counseling, legal aid, and societal reintegration. Media responsibility, avoiding content that glorifies violence or objectifies individuals. Advocacy and policy reform, lobbying for laws that protect and support victims while deterring offenders. So far, in conclusion, Addressing underlying issues. Community vigilance can help address underlying issues, such as poverty, inequality, and social injustice, which can contribute to a culture of violence and rape. Examples of community vigilance in action include neighborhood watch programs, community-led patrols, self-defense classes and workshops, awareness campaigns and events, support groups for survivors of rape, collaborations with local law enforcement and authorities. It's essential to note that community vigilance should not be used as a substitute for professional law enforcement or medical services. Instead, it should be used as a complementary approach to prevent rape and support survivors. Key points. Rape is a grave violation with profound consequences for individuals and society. Combating it requires collective effort and cultural transformation. Call to action: raise awareness, educate others, and stand against any form of sexual violence. Proper and moderate outfit should not be ignored, as exposing one to private body such as breast and lap may trigger a strong feelings towards opposite gender. 1. Social stigma. Improper dressing can lead to social exclusion, ridicule, or ostracism. 2. Negative perceptions. People may form unfavorable opinions about an individual's character, profession, or background based on their attire. 3. Lack of respect. Inappropriate dressing can undermine authority, or credibility in professional or formal settings. 4. Cultural insensitivity. Wearing clothing that disrespects cultural or religious norms can offend communities.